Everyone thinks that the clean is the easiest of the Olympic lifts to learn, but there's actually way more nuance than people think. That's why I'm reviewing 3 videos from my Discord, and if you want your lift review, then make sure to hop in at the link in the description below. Alright, so the first video that we're going to take a look at here is this 225 pound power clean. Let's go ahead and see what we've got. Okay, not too bad. Some things that we could work on for sure. So let's go and take a look first at our start position. My guess is that these hips are a little too low in your start position. And the reason that I say that is they rise pretty quickly at a faster rate than your shoulders do when you first start this pull. Now, that could just be a technique breakdown aspect of it, but I think that it's because your hips are a little bit too low in that start position. So I would set them up just slightly higher than your knees, right? You probably only just need to be about here in your start position rather than here, okay? The next thing, and this is the most important thing that I'm seeing, is as you begin the pull, right as you're passing your knee, if we look at your toes here, we can see your toes lifting up and shifting your balance back onto your heel too much, right? This is usually a really big problem. It's a pretty common issue for people in the pull where they know that they need to get the knees out of the way, but you can absolutely get your knees too far back out of the way. And anytime that we shift our balance away from the midfoot back towards the heel, later in the lift we'll usually see a compensation forward, sometimes leading to a hit of the bar away from us or just overextending on the toes rather than getting good leg drive. Now this lift, you don't actually really overcompensate, which is great. That's super important, but I would imagine that this is probably going to be what happens when you get to more top end weights. So I would keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and take a look at somebody who stays midfoot throughout their pull really well, and that is the GOAT, Ilya Ilin. So if you see in that clean, he does such a great job of staying midfoot that his toes actually never lift up, even though this is a world record. I mean, this is truly incredible. Watch his feet. Flat, stays flat the whole time. That is the most important thing for getting maximum leg drive. That's why he's able to pull off this world record. That's one of the many reasons that he is able to pull off this world record. So I would recommend keeping that in mind when you are working on your next clean workout. All right, the next clean that we're going to go ahead and take a look at is from Maddie during her high school weightlifting season. Let's see what this clean looks like. All right, so we got it to the shoulders, made it happen, all right? We've got some things that we can clean up here for sure. And the cool thing about this lift is she's actually gotten pretty strong with just inefficient technique, which means that if we make these corrections that are really just fundamental corrections that are easy to correct, then we can unlock so much more efficiency out of the strength that she's gotten already. So the main thing that I'm looking at here is the start position, right? If we watch this again, you can see that the bar starts far away from her and then she rolls it into her as she's starting the pull. Now, I absolutely hate this kind of approach to the pull because it's going to mean that your start position is inconsistent every single time. But the other reason for that is anytime the weight's further away from you, it's less efficient, right? It's like holding your groceries out in front of you instead of down by your sides. We want to keep this bar as close to our midline, meaning set that bar up over the middle of the foot, and then start the pull and try and keep that bar over the middle of the foot the entire time, right? This does not have that, and because of that, the bar kind of stays away from the body throughout the entire lift. Let's watch this again, right? We can see bar is not really touching her shins. It's maybe over the toes. I think if you look at the shadow, it looks like the bar might even be in front of her feet, right? And it starts to move back as she pulls, which is good. The bar should do that. But if we start with the bar over the middle of the foot, it's going to be a much more efficient lift, right? And then as we start to go, it looks like we're not really making contact with the body at all. And we need to make sure that we make contact. But we can't work on making contact until that bar starts in the right spot. So let's go ahead and take a look at somebody who does that really well. And that is going to be Tominator. Let's go ahead and see what we've got here. We can see that she's starting with the bar over the middle of the foot. When she approaches the bar, she approaches to the bar, right? She does not bring the bar into her as she's pulling. She doesn't reach forward and grab the bar. She plants her feet. She knows where she's going to be first, right? Then she reaches down and grabs the bar. That's so important for just making sure that you're in the same start position every single time. Now we see how close this bar is to her. It's over the middle of her foot and it's touching her shins or very, very close to it. It doesn't necessarily need to be touching, but it needs to be super close to the shins. And then as she pulls, it stays close and it still moves back into her. All right, that's what we want. I mean, this is 110 kilo clean and jerk for a complex that she's doing. Super important to make sure that that start position is dialed in. The bar is close. Approach the bar. Don't bring the bar to you, and then start your pull. And that's it. And then we can work on some of the other things like making contact in the pull, but we can't work on that stuff until our start position is perfect. And the last clean of the day is a clean from Anthony here. He is a high school weightlifter as well here in Florida. So let's go and take a look at this clean. I mean, pretty solid, can't be mad at it, but some easy things that we can fix here. You know, kind of same theme from the last clean here. Now, we've got a good start position. I would say that I'm going to nitpick a little bit here with setting the hands before setting the feet. I'm a big fan of approach the bar with your feet exactly where they're going to be. Don't move the bar around, right? Instead of setting the hands first and then walking up to the bar. I just find that you're just going to be less consistent with your foot placement and where you actually need to be. Now, this start position looks really good. So, you know, nitpicking the approach to the bar, but the start looks great. But as we pull, there is no bar contact to the body, right? Now, this is not the most important thing when it comes to learning the lifts. I actually know of a very famous coach who teaches athletes no contact lifts first to make sure that they have an ideal start position before he adds in contact later to make sure that they don't over rely on contact, which usually leads to people overextending at the hips instead of getting good leg drive. Okay, so you know, if you're learning the clean with an experienced coach who's teaching that to you, that's awesome. But if not, then you know the thing that we need to be working on here, if you're not intentionally doing no contact cleans, is making contact, right? We've got a good start position, we've got it close, but as we get a little bit further past the knee, we're not making any contact here with the body, and we're also not really getting into a good power position here. All right, so the power position is where we create all of our power, and it requires the knees to have some knee bend, right? So we should be a little bit more of a dip, similar to kind of what your dip would look like for a jerk. Let's see what that looks like here. I mean, we can see he's doing a clean and jerk, right? So our power position should be pretty similar to this, maybe not quite as deep as this, probably like right here, but that's how we're going to create vertical leg drive. So we should be returning to this point during our pull, right? This amount of knee bend during our pull for the clean, where you can see that at this point his legs are pretty much straight, his shoulders are in front of the bar, and so he's either going to have to push his hips forward into the bar to make contact, or he's going to just not make contact at all, right? So those are the things that I would recommend working on, is just making sure that you get that bar into your contact, right? So past the knees, it's contact the whole time, but then creating that power position. You're gonna have to kind of push your knees under the bar slightly to be able to make that happen. So let's go ahead and take a look at somebody who does that really well. All right, so if we look at Lasha's pull here, we're gonna go ahead and take a look specifically at, as he passes the knee, what he does. Right, so he gets his knees out of the way, good. This is when he starts making the most contact, right? He's keeping it close to the shins, but he's not like really trying to make that bar touch his legs. But as he passes the knee, it's all about making sure the bar touches his legs, his thighs, all the way up, and that he's moving his knees under, right? We can see this is his power position right here. So he's got knee bend to be able to launch the bar up. So he's moving his knees under while staying flat-footed, and he's keeping that bar close. Drives that bar up hard with the legs. It's not about extending forward with the hips like a lot of people think. It's about extending up with the legs. Okay, let's watch that again. Knees are out of the way. Knees start moving back under as the bar moves in, and then extends up with the legs. maximal contact here from the knee to the power position as you are recreating that power position. Boom. So Anthony, the big thing that I would recommend working on is slow pull cleans, where you're working on keeping that bar close to the shins, and then as you pass the knee, moving your knees under the bar while you make contact with your thighs all the way up. The moment you get to that power position, launch that bar and get it flying, because that's going to be how you really get the most amount of weight on your clean. So if you want to learn the Olympic lifts, then make sure to check out my free beginner guide and 6-week program linked in the description below, and join the Discord group for a chance to have your lift reviewed in the next video.